you all for being here tonight. Thank you, councilors, for coming in on this cold night. Thank you, staff, for being here. Thank you, Dylan. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilwoman Louise Gallegos.
Here.
Councilman Brent Camille.
Here.
Councilman Jason Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilwoman Katrina Gonzalez. Here. Dylan R.N.
Thank you. Thank you all on live for joining us tonight as well. Next item is a pledge of allegiance. Ms. Gonzalez, Councilor Gonzalez, will you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Thank you, Sister Councilor Gonzalez. That could have been
Hi there, Ross.
either of you.
Just say, Councilor Gonzalez with a Z. Just say C-A-N-S.
Yeah.
Next item is approval of the agenda. Councilors, you have the agenda before you. Do you have any changes to the agenda?
Motion to approve, Mayor.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Gallegos, a second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. The next item is approval of the minutes, regular council meeting January 24th, 2023.
Mayor, I have a couple of corrections. Line 57, I believe it was myself and Brent that did the approval for the minutes. My notes had Brent and not Jason. And then concerning Mrs. Shannon or Quintana Shannon, if you can make it consistent. On line 70, instead of send, it should be sent. S-E-N-T. And on line 234, instead of ever, it should be every. And with those changes, I make a motion to approve. No, wait a minute, there was one more for Brent did the second. Let's see. That was on line 212, when we came out of executive session with Brent and Katrina, not Jason and Katrina. With that, I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Gallegos. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed. Next item is the public comments. Do we have anyone here for public comment? Anyone online for public comment? Anyone call in this week for public comment?
No, sir.
We'll close the public comment at 6:07. Move on to action items. First item, discussion, consideration, decision, village. Look, let's start with Mr. Chevron.
Mayor and Council, we updated the list according to your request last time. Do you have any changes?
I would like to add a request for money to start on the fiestas.
So, right now on our lands, I don't know if you'll have it before you, but, we have Village of Questa Water Well Engineering, PER report, secure location of well amplifier and allowance. That's gonna be about $141,000 that we're asking for. The second one is a wildland fire truck. That's gonna be anywhere from $350,000 to $400,000. The next one is the Questa sewer treatment plant, about replace SCADA system and add additional clarifier pond. The SCADA system is gonna be about $190,000. The clarifier pond is gonna be about $1.2 million. And I think this next one, and Mr. DeFilippo, you can correct me, but we have a land donation for future housing development infrastructure. And I think we had kind of discussed dropping the land donation, just asking for maybe plan and design on roads and electrical, water, and natural gas. I think we had discussed that. I think, Mr. DeFilippo, if you can hear me, I think you had kind of recommended that we don't ask for that one.
Yes, Mayor, can you guys hear me all right?
We can hear you, we can't see you.
Oh, not sure.
I can see you. I can see you.
Anyway, yes, I agree, Mayor. It probably is better to ask for those infrastructure, at least this year, or before you ask for the land donation. And the reason for that is, Chevron likes to see shovel-ready or starting to get ready towards shovel-ready projects. The land donation may be a little bit premature, seeing as those initial aspects are still missing. So I agree with you there.
And the last is multi-court field upgrades, add amphitheater, golf course, and pickleball courts. So I think I've mentioned this to you before, but Arcadis was one of Chevron's contractors, is willing to help us with the design of that, and they're actually willing to go out and help us look for grants for that at multi-court field. We don't really have a price estimate on that, but they actually have put forward a design. It's nothing that's set in stone, but I've seen their design for it, and it does include an amphitheater, it does include some upgrades. Of course, this is all dependent on the land donation that we expect Chevron is going to give to the village of the lower parking lot and that area, so that will all go into that as well.
This is the Terrence?
No, it's at the volleyball field.
Is that disc golf?
Disc golf.
That's why they had me confused. I remember Jason bringing up disc golf.
I will change it to disc golf. I was hoping for golf.
Someone tried that already once and it didn't go through. So do we really need that one then, if we're asking for multi-court field upgrades and Arcadis is already committing to assist on that end?
I'm just trying to think. My thought is, and Chris, you might want to weigh in on this one, but ask for that one until we've actually, till the land donation has gone through.
No, can you repeat what Mayor out there and those?
Bring it up closer. I said, Mr. DeFilippo, do you think we should table that one until the land donation goes through on the parking lot on the court field?
I mean, we can keep it on the list. I think you probably won't be able to get through that entire list anyways before the end of the year. But nonetheless, we are going to have to wait until that land donation goes through. And quite frankly, that's in the EPA and the state's hands right now. That request has been made by Chevron, but I haven't heard any updates regarding that. I'll ask if Chevron has heard any updates on where the status for that is, but we will need EPA approval before that transfer can occur.
The other question I have is, the list that we're looking at before us is, should there be like a priority on that list, or
Yes, I think it should have be in order of priority. That'll help give everyone direction on how the village wants to move forward and what their priorities are.
Are you all okay, Councilor, with the way that they're listed as priority? Oh, sure.
Yes.
Where do you want the fiestas?
Before golf course.
I'm even thinking we could move the fiestas up to number 3 on that list. Well, I don't know, I don't want to be too confident on what we're going to get out of capital outlay, but
Wouldn't the Fiesta request come from the Economic Development Fund Board instead of directly from Chevron?
I'm asking them as well.
Yeah.
And they don't have too much money.
They don't.
It might get filtered through their,
and
and I'm sure Karen would rather it get filtered through the fund board too. And then the War Foundation kicks in.
Hmm.
That'd be good too.
Okay.
yeah, Chevron put their own money forward for that event last year.
Yeah.
So it wasn't QEDF money, but what went to QEDF.
Yeah, no, but they have a certain purpose in mind too, so.
I would
That's
just
true.
hate for anything that we request from QEDF to be lessened because this goes through them. Because they only gave us about 50,000 this next year, so if we ask for something besides the other stuff that we're looking for, it may decrease that amount. But
Another thing-
we ask for.
That we need to keep in mind, Councilors, is that the Chevron contribution to QEDF is decreasing starting next year from 320,000 a year to 240,000. So that budget QEDF has they're probably going to cut us anyway eventually. But what they did say when they told us that they were cutting that budget to QEDF, that they were okay with us doing individual requests like this. A lot of them, if we can tie them to economic development, that they're more than likely going to give us more consideration for it. So when we ask them for the water well, that's for future use, that's tied to economic development. We can tie the wildland truck to economic development because we're going to have a much larger area to protect. Plus, we have our fire department protects the tailings dam, plus it protects all of the Chevron property up here for wildland fire. Plus, and not only that, but we should protect all their structures for structure fire as well. And our fire department, as long as I can remember, has always gone and let free of charge tested their water hydrants for them. So I think the fire truck is a good ask. The clear fire pond, that's also tied to economic development because we're going to need it for future growth. That clear fire pond, in order for us to be able to add any sewer, we're going to add businesses, we're going to add housing, we're going to add growth to the sewer pond.
Which is a greater priority, the water level or the source system improvements?
I'm sorry, what's your
Which
question?
is a greater priority, the water well or the source system improvements?
Yeah, that's my question too.
So, because I heard you kind of say the sewer.
I don't know, just kind of thinking about capital outlay and what I'm hearing we may get the other to update on the water well is that Robert Romero has met with State Engineer Mike Hammond. I don't, he's saying that he has some possible ARPA funding that through the State Engineer's office that they could fund us for the water well, but he's looking for a shovel-ready project, so that's kind of why we need to get this engineering done on the well side. Honestly, at this point, Council, I think that water well is probably our top priority, getting that engineering done. Plus, we have the $350,000 from ONRT that ONRT is telling us they want that spent pretty quick. They wanted us to figure out ways to combine those two projects because we're not spending money on either of them right now. So I'm hoping that we're going to get that water well done and we can still do the sewer lines on Gallegos Road and that area too, that both projects are viable. I mean, we could probably put the sewer system. The other thing with the sewer system is, so again, that's our top priority on our ACIP. So I know we need at least $190,000 initially to fix the scale up. The clarifier pond is going to be probably something that we're going to need in the future more, look for money in the future for maybe traditional direct spending. Maybe we'll get some of it out of capital outlay this year.
So perhaps we should split that so that the SCADA system is a different ask request than the 1.2 million.
Makes sense.
Okay.
And then, how would you feel? I almost say then, maybe the SCADA system needs to be number 2, the wildland truck needs to be number 3, and then the sewer clarified pond number 4.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
How
Yeah,
does that sound?
yeah,
And are we taking out the Fiestas?
No, the Fiesta needs to be
right after that.
So the Fiestas are number 4?
Yeah,
number 5. Is that okay? Sounds good. And the wildland fire truck too, that's something that their wildland truck. But we can see congressional direct spending on that as well. So of course that is a process, but
so what's the fire truck we're approving? It's not a wildlife fire truck? Oh, okay, that's what I thought it was. I thought, why do we have it here? We already have it here. Okay, thank you.
how does that, do you,
Okay, so I have the water well first,
Yes,
the SCADA system second,
yes.
the wildland fire truck third,
Mm-hmm.
the clarifier pond fourth,
Mm-hmm.
the Fiesta's fifth, the housing development infrastructure plan design roads, that thing sixth, and then the Molly Corfield upgrade seventh.
I think we should switch Montecor field upgrades to 6 and the planning design to 7. So QEF Lynn is doing a housing study right now, so I think once we get that housing study done, once she gets that done, that will give us more of a general idea of what we're going to need. And what we know we need housing, we know everyone needs housing, but the last 2 are kind of stuff that we're still waiting on other things that we should, before we should ask for.
Okay, is that what you want now? You're gonna call for a vote, Mayor? Are there any more comments?
Any other comments, suggestions, anything we want to ask for?
I think it looks good. I think it sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
The way we did it and
I mean, we could,
The way Karen presented it, I think is good. I would make a motion to approve the list as the way Administrator Shannon mentioned it.
With the
cloud?
No, he switched 6 and 7. He made 6 the Molly Court Field and 7 the housing.
Okay, yes, yes.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilwoman Louise Gagos,
Yes.
Councilman Brent Cameo,
Yes.
Councilman Jason Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Katrina Gonzalez,
Yes.
Next item is discussion, consideration, and decision approval of legal migration to Casell to the cloud. Ms. Shannon.
Mayor and council, we've been talking about this for quite a while. Our server needs to be replaced. They need to be replaced every 5 to 7 years. In your packet was the quote for the new server and the quote for going to the cloud. They're almost the same price. Going to the cloud, you would also put Casell separately on Casell's cloud, so it would be online as well. So that doesn't cost us anything up front, but it does increase our monthly fee by $715. So I put a spreadsheet in your packet that shows the upfront costs and then the savings. We really don't see savings until the year 6 when we would replace the server again, and I did increase the server price. And then again in year 11, we have to replace the server again, and we save that cost again. We do have somebody from Ambitions who's on the call if you have any direct questions.
Ms. Shannon, I got a question. I thought about this after looking at these quotes. So are these prices, they're locked in? Or as we seen for the past couple of years, we're getting price increases? By the time we get to a year, we have it, you know what I mean?
Those are just estimates, Counselor, for the server cost of the server. So right now, the initial...
Well, I'm actually talking about the mission, I'm actually talking about the cloud.
The cloud.
Yes.
So that, I will defer to Mr. Lerner from Ambitions. Could you answer that, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Could you repeat the question, please?
So, my question is, after looking at these quotes, the price we're looking at is 61, 31, 51, all the way to year 11. Are those prices locked in?
That's the monthly fee.
So there's two, if I understand you correctly, there's two costs that we're talking about here. There's the upfront migration cost, which is the labor and that's involved in doing the full migration of every aspect of your infrastructure to the cloud. And then there's your monthly recurring cost of your contract, which is your service contract, which covers your submission of support requests, etc. So the upfront cost of the migration, that's a one-time cost, after which that would not occur. And then you would only be dealing with, after that, the recurring cost of your annual contract that's, of course, broken down monthly.
Right, so my question is, are those prices going to stay the same all the way to, so the spreadsheet that we're looking at right now goes all the way to the year 11. Are those prices going to stay the same?
Counselor, they will not.
Oh,
This
is all just estimate.
This is all estimate. This is at current pricing right now.
Current price, okay, so it's not like, it's not like,
In Casell, we pay a monthly fee, and we pay the same for a while. This year, they did have an increase, and they try not to have an increase every single year.
okay, that's,
And
it's estimate, I understand.
Ambitions, their fee is according to their contract when we go out for RFP. And it depends on how many devices we have that we use in the village.
Great, thank you.
So, Mrs. Shannon, we're still retaining Ambitions and Casell. We just don't have a server, we're using the cloud. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the cloud is our server, so to speak.
Yes,
Okay.
and we just don't have to buy it every 5 to 7 years, because it'll already be there.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Shannon, quick question is, the move to the cloud is gonna cover the police department and their, the bell cameras? Because I know Chief has told me that there's quite an expense in what they can store off their cameras and that store for a certain amount of time.
So that does not, the chief does not want his video camera stuff into the cloud. It takes too long to upload and download that data. He'd like to have service for them at the police department. The current server machine that is there will be refurbished for them to use. So some of the parts will work, some of them will not, but Ambitions will work with them to have something that they can put their video data on. And then it will have to be, they have to keep it for a certain number of time, and then they can delete it and use that space on the computer again.
Oh, okay.
Did you have anything to add? Jeff, did you have anything to add about that?
No, yeah, just the thing to keep in mind with that is the physical device purposing to store the video footage for the police department is more of an interim solution until we can find something, once the budget allows for it, and once we find a better permanent solution. We just don't want to risk that hardware itself failing. But we do believe we can use that as at least a 1-year interim solution, during which time we can find the most cost-effective solution possible to have a more robust and reliable storage solution for the police department.
One of the things that I like about the Cassell being in the cloud is that we can work from home a lot easier. I don't have to log into my computer here at the village, which logs into all of my Cassell stuff. I can access it directly from home or wherever I have an internet connection. If I'm on vacation and they're having issues, or I'm on a training and they're having issues, I could actually log in and see what they're doing and help out in that way, if need be. Everybody here is pretty proficient, but we do have every once in a while something.
Have a hiccup.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilman Palomino. Do I have a second? Motion by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Luis Gallego.
Yes.
Councilmember Jaramillo.
Yes.
Councilman Jason Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Katrina Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item is discussion, consideration, and decision approval of fire truck purchase. Ms. Sanchez Cordova. And actually, this is a water tender. We just explain to the council the difference between a fire truck and a water tender.
Yes, a fire truck or an attack engine doesn't have as much water tender. The current tender that we have holds 3,000 gallons of water. The one that we are attempting to purchase holds 2,000 gallons of water. So it gets us a little further here, especially in places where we don't have hydrants like our rural areas. This is what we use to drop water in our drop tanks and use to feed to the firefighters.
They did get a grant for $300,000 for this vehicle, and we will be funding the rest of it from hopefully money movement from Chevron within grants that they've already given us, and also the fire protection fund. Because we paid the 2 loans for the fire protection fund with from the general ledger to get the other brand new truck that they got, we do not have a loan payment until August. So we didn't have any debt service for this year, which I did budget, so now we can use those monies to help pay for this truck.
And the money that Ms. Shannon's talking about from the Chevron fund, they gave us $20,800 for defensive spaces. So we can create defensive spaces around our yards. Me and Miss B. Hill tried very hard to get that going last year when it was real dry, and it proved to be a difficult task. We were never able to get that money dispersed to people, and it seemed like when we finally talked to Soil and Water Conservation, it just seemed like that $28,000 wasn't going to be nearly enough. That was going to give people like $500, $1,000 to clear out property, where it's going to take thousands of dollars. So, yeah, I don't think that we probably could have gone through Soil and Water and gotten it done, but it was going to be pretty difficult. And we can still look for money to do that in the future, or work with Soil and Water Conservation. But I think this money is better appropriated to this water tender. That way, this is what they're going to use. Even in some of our areas in town where the hydrants aren't so good, they're probably going to use a water tender. This is going to be when we're actually having to go to those areas on Chevron property that there's no water, or even some of our mountains areas up Carresto, they're going to have to haul water to put out fire up Carresto. We come to that whole canyon, and there's a lot of structures up there, so it's something that's definitely needed. I would hope that the other one's not going out of service either, which we'll have two to use it from now on. And that's 5,000 gallons of rolling water that we can use just about anywhere.
So our current tender right now is 22 years old. It has some current needs that we have been faced with. It's overheating, we've taken it in to get fixed. It's not a repairable thing right now. And our water tender is our second engine out. So anytime we get a fire, second engine, that means the fire station. So anytime we get a fire, we get an engine, and that goes out with people, and then our tender follows in any fire situation. And that goes to anywhere, Costilla, Manga, wherever we get moved out to. Usually water tenders are what we need because, like our rural areas there, Costilla, Manga, we don't have any hydrants at all. Like David said, the hydrants, it depends on what color of top it is. If it has a blue or green top, that's better water. If it has a red and orange top, that's not so good water. So if you live by one of those tops on the bonnet on the hydrant, that's not good water. So we are going to need a water tender in those areas. So it's something that's needed. Our fleet is aging pretty fast, and fires being called don't stop. So we're going to have to keep going as much as we can. Do you guys have any questions?
No questions. Motion to approve the fire truck purchase.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Gonzalez, second by Councilwoman Gallegos. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Councilwoman Louise Gallegos?
Yes.
Councilman Brent Jaramillo?
Yes.
Councilman Jason Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Katrina Gonzalez?
Yes.
Now we just want to see a nice push-in ceremony when it comes.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
We want to celebrate it. 5,000 gallons, 750 to 1,000. On the structure fire, it goes like in 2 minutes. Well, no, just on the fast structure fire, over 2 minutes on the offensive structure fire, it can last. Okay, next item is discussion items, Village of Questa beautification committee. We did put out on social media that we're seeking members for the beautification committee. I didn't get any responses. I don't know if you got the responses, Councilor, but I know you did do some work on it. You talked to a few people. I'll let you speak on that.
I believe it was Monday.
Is your mic?
Sorry.
Thank you.
I believe it was Monday that, this last week, that myself and, Mr. Larry and Mr. George, Opaya went out in the middle of town, we picked up some weeds and some trash. I believe as beautification committee starts rolling, we're gonna have so many people out there on the streets helping us out. We have, the Honor Society showed interest. We have the Church of Johnny and Christy Gonzalez, they showed interest. And the 4-H Club are showing interest as well. Other residents within the village showed interest. They just didn't find out because it was very impromptu announcement. So the announcement was made that morning, and we were done by 2 o'clock that afternoon. This beautification committee, it is definitely needed by our town. And our town residents need to really step up and do the work. I mean, we can't look to the water boys going and cleaning the park and the weeds when it should be our responsibility as residents of Cuesta. I mean, we're looking to try to make improvements to Mollybar Field. That should be our responsibility as well. And then just take pride in our town. We have so much that we can offer, and if there's trash and bottles of whiskey on the side of the road and weeds, it just doesn't look that right. So, I don't think I have anything else.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Yes, Councilman Gonzalez, I agree 100%. Thank you for getting that done on Monday. Thank you, Mr. Chileta. I was working in Questa that day, and a few of my patients that were coming in from out of town all made comments that they saw community members outside cleaning up, and people were so happy about it. I want to be on the beautification committee. I talked to Mr. Larry Sanchez. He's also willing to. And I think that if we reach out to the school board to get our youth involved also, I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
One more announcement, Mayor. So, we need to come up with some dates as to how we're going to run this committee. Because the National Honor Society, they need at least 2 weeks' notice before they can leave the school. If we're going to have it on a weekday, well, they got to notify school boards or has to permission.
So, Councilor, the thing we can do is, we've talked about bringing the roll-offs again. March probably is too early for it. We want to do something in April, bring roll-offs. If we can get a good day, maybe a good couple of days, so Friday and Saturday, that we can do that, maybe half a day on Saturday. I do, and staff, I do expect that we can open the Saturday for that, because a lot of the people that need to throw their bids, I know probably work during the week, and they might not be able to get there, but,
April is usually the month for ditch cleaning as well, so we may have to offset on that too.
Mayor and council, somebody brought up the idea of Earth Day. That is Saturday, April 22nd.
Forest Day.
Forest Day?
I think he said before Earth Day.
Well, before Earth Day?
I said on Earth Day.
Mr. Archuleta, did you?
Yeah, one of my concerns is if we get the whole community involved in the cleanup, that means that we're gonna need more than one dumpster. Because I think, we filled up quite a bit of the dumpster that you had here. So if the whole community's only gonna use one dumpster, it's gonna fill up awfully fast. So just wondering if there's a way, even on the dates that we're gonna appropriate to clean the town. Like, I'm gonna go clean the bushes around the Veterans Park, and I was wondering, am I gonna be allowed to come and bring that trash to the village, or do I have to dispose of it myself?
I think depending on the date, but usually, and that's something we're gonna have to work out, Ms. Shannon, is, if they're doing cleanup of the community, then they shouldn't have to pay the fees that we charge for dumping in that dumpster, so. Just so we don't get people that say, hey, I was cleaning the town and then bringing the most stuff, that's the other thing, but actually, that's not what you're talking about.
I'm pretty sure you'll know who's doing it and who's not.
So, I mean, that dumpster's always open to you, the big, your loft, and you can use that as long as you're doing cleanup in town. I wouldn't see a problem with it without paying the fee.
It helps us as staff if we have dates. That way, our staff knows these people are cleaning in town, they're gonna be bringing stuff. Because I don't want my staff running out there chasing me down, not knowing. And if we do that, people come in and try and dump in there, and people are running out there and trying to stop people and say, you need to stop at the front, you need to pay the fee. So if we know the dates that that's gonna happen, we know ahead of time not to be harassing you for going back there. And if we know who it is that's bringing trash. Because we do have a lot of people that come and try and dump all kinds of stuff in there, even tires, and we have to say, no, you gotta take those tires back, we don't accept tires. Paint, those kind of, there's a lot of things that we do not accept in this dumpster. When we do have cleanup day, Nadine will arrange to have, we usually get 2 of those big roll-offs empty to have for those days, those cleanup days.
So what I was going to ask is, I have a dump bed trailer, so if I would know exactly when the dumpsters would be clean, I could actually do a cleanup and then be able to back up into it and dump it instead of throwing it on the ground and then picking it up, and I'd be able to back up into the dumpster and dump it without having to move twice.
We just need to set dates. And if we know, a couple weeks ahead or a week ahead, maybe you can order the dumpsters.
Okay.
Ms. Shannon, and talking with the guys that day, we came up with the idea that we could probably do this 2 days out of the month. And then as the town starts to look a lot prettier, maybe move it down to just 1 day out of the month. So I think we hit it on the 30th. It was last Monday, right?
Yes.
So maybe the 13th, 27th, 6th, and the 20th. Possible first 4 times.
Of March?
Yeah, so the 13th and 27th this month, and the 6th and 20th of March.
Oh, you're looking at Mondays.
Looking at Mondays, yes, I know we can change this, but like I told the National Honor Society teacher, our sponsor, I said maybe it'll break the monotony of the kids having to spend their time in school on a Monday. They might enjoy that. Maybe possible weekend, because one mentioned that she liked her kids to get out on the weekend and do something. So these dates are just, I'm just throwing them out there. We can change them.
And the kids are usually off on Fridays.
They are off on Fridays, and that could be an idea as well.
The other thing I'd like to see coming out of this group, as far as beautification, because we're talking kind of cleanup right now, but if we can get that group setting where the committee gets together, we can talk about cleanup, and then we can talk about ways to beautify our community, like for maybe a lower grant or something to allow us to buy flowers or something to put in the community to actually beautify. I think that'd be an interesting idea. Sometimes we see in the National League of Cities, I think Councilor Almeida, I think, well, yeah, one where they did something like that, they paid for about $10,000 worth of flowers, and every year they made them, they bought the type of flowers that grow back, and every year everyone flocks to this little town to see their flower display. But just stuff like that. The other thing I was thinking about, I've talked to Mr. Hill about this, is like when I go to those Lunas or Taos during the winter, you see on the light poles, they have decorations, and I'd like to see something like that. Figure out how to light up the town a little, make it a little prettier during the winter, not in the summer. So.
Okay, so one more question. As far as providing, so let's say we do get this group going, providing bags, trash bags, rakes, anything like that, are we going to have to provide it ourselves? Will the village be willing to at least provide some rakes, maybe shovels, trash bags?
We'll look for a sponsorship for it. Maybe QEDF, maybe
Your foundations.
maybe even Chevron will be willing to. The other thing that councilor and councilors in structure thought that we can actually do is maybe ask NTAC or Granite to see if they would send a crew to help with it as well, because they're pretty good about sending crews for in-kind stuff like that. I mean, they might not send it every day,
Yeah, exactly.
but they might send it maybe once or twice during the year to help with that, to try and get that.
So at the flowers in town underneath the, so instead of buying flowers every year, why can't we, I mean, they make some really awesome, I hate to say it, but fake, that we wouldn't have to worry about the watering, just pulling weeds pretty much around and put, maybe landscape it a different way than planting flowers and, putting out that money for for live plants.
Yeah, I think that's.
Because I would, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is I'm willing to volunteer for a lot of this stuff on this new program, so,
I think we'd be willing to listen to all of any suggestions, Mr. Archuleta, when it comes to beautifying the community, making it look better.
yeah.
And just an FYI, there is the Adopt a Highway, the miles in town. There's some families that have those adopted as well. So we can always get them involved on the same day that we're doing the cleanup. My family has the one down by the lake, and we clean that twice a year. We do it in June and in October. And we usually get anywhere from 6 to 8 bags that we pick up for trash. Yeah.
We have a littering ordinance.
Litter ordinance?
Mm-mm.
I don't know, but we can check.
And who's going to enforce it? So we have trouble we always run into.
You know, with the law enforcement, once they're all, and they see somebody littered, there's a fine. At least if we have an ordinance, we can put the signs up saying that there's a $500 fine for littering, and that might deter people from doing
That way you get caught in the act.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or if you get reported, if maybe one of the, that's kind of hard to do, but we can do some kind of order to see that. if you're
So
caught-
the little area that we cleaned up, we found 25 bottles of miniatures. And another issue that I noticed that we have is, we have a drug use problem. There's syringes all over the whole community. I don't know, can we, I don't know if it, a dumping spot for them, I don't know. There is quite a bit up Carresto Road.
So
There's
you
quite
know that our EMS department has a pickup for what they use of that type of material.
Right.
So maybe we can get some, I don't know if they have portable containers that they can be dropped in and then brought over here, and I'll have to talk to right now to make sure that they can be picked up.
There, there's, I think City of Albuquerque is doing exactly what Mr. Archuleta is saying. I think I heard that in the news that they were putting boxes in parks. I don't know how they were connecting, I didn't hear the whole story, but I remember hearing part of it, exactly what you're saying. So
Right. And even if we pick them up ourselves, at least we have a place to dump them.
We'll just have to get some of the red boxes,
Yeah, sharks just.
the charges, we'll have to get some of those. The other thing is, do you know if inside, any of you know if inside our out recovery is still, they used to come to Questa every Wednesday and do a needle exchange.
I don't think so.
You're not doing that anymore?
But
And maybe we can contact them and see if they can start doing that again, or seeing if there's another group that would be willing to do that again. I know it's not the most popular thing, but it at least gives some of these people an opportunity to dispose of their trade out their needles without them being a hazard or dangerous to anyone else. Okay, anything else on beautification, Judge Lee?
So do you want us, what dates do you want us to advertise for, so that Nadine can get the dumpsters over here? And, so we can get trash bags in.
I really think that's an operations thing. I think you're within your authority to figure that out for the community wide. I think Commissioner Gonzalez of the Z is saying that he's doing that other cleanup day, and you're talking about the big community-wide dumpster day that.
Right, okay. Okay,
How about some, Ms. Shannon, how about some dates, instead of doing Mondays, so we can accommodate for the youth that are willing to participate. Let's do the 7th, the 17th of this month. And possibly in March 3rd, 17th, and 31st. Two people out there.
okay.
And the
So this will be basic cleanup, and then we'll have the big cleanup day,
Yeah, this will lead up to the
For
big
the
cleanup,
the
and
whole community, okay.
people can do it from their yards or their, if they live next to a road, they can do the sideway, the roadway, if they may.
I like that idea.
Everybody needs to do their part.
Please don't drive by my yard. Next item is matters from village attorney, Mr. DeFilippo. Do you have any matters for us?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be relatively brief. Since our last meeting, I've been primarily working on two projects. The first being the lease with Taos County for the La Cienega property. That is moving forward. We are starting to get that lease in order. Prior to the lease being signed, we've entered into an MOA with Taos County to allow them to do some preliminary work on the property while the lease is being considered. So that's one thing I was primarily working on. Secondly, we have been, I'm sorry, was there a question there?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm having a little difficulty hearing, so I apologize. And now I'm blanking on what the second topic was that I was just going to mention.
The water sewer ordinance?
Oh, correct. Yes, so we, the staff and I have been working on putting together a sewer ordinance to be able to present to you folks, and we believe we have a finalized version that took into account all of the notes the council had given us previously. So we are planning to present that sewer ordinance at the next meeting after it's had an opportunity to go through the notice process. And thirdly and lastly, working with Nadine primarily, we've been able to put together a letter to the OSC. This letter is going to be going to Ramona Martinez in relation to the payback credits that the village has been entitled to but haven't been utilizing the last couple of years. So we're hoping to have a way of recovering those past payback credits as well as recovering for the 3 years of extreme water usage that was probably an incorrect meter reading at that time, which is what our memo kind of describes to the OSC. But we are planning to have a meeting with Ramona here in the next couple of weeks. It is not currently set, but I should have an update for you following that meeting. And worst, best case scenario, that would provide a tremendous amount of past payback credits that would deplete our current over-diversion amount significantly. I'm not exactly sure what amount, seeing as I don't know exactly how the OSD will respond to it, but I am confident that it will reduce the number of our, or the amount of our over-diversion in a pretty significant way moving forward, which will be beneficial to the village. I stand for questions. Should you have any?
Thank you, Mr. DeFilippo.
Thank you, folks.
Next item is matters from the administrator.
Mayor and council, that leak the other night was something else. Oh. It was all day. The guys clocked out like at 10 o'clock at night after they pressurized the water line. We have a really great staff. And the residents, we just had a couple of people come for water over here. Everybody else was pretty patient about, well, everybody was generally patient about not having water. We did call. There were 4 pages of people that on Cabresto Road, East Llano, and Cayas and Salida that we called to notify them that there was a water leak and the water had to be shut off. Some of them thought their water was frozen and they were looking for their frozen pipes. So they were glad, very glad that we called. A lot of them did have water in Cabresto, further south on Cabresto Road. But they said, thanks for letting us know, because if it does shut off, then at least we know what's happening. So we're working on a list for each of the different sections so that when something does happen, we have lists that we can come and call people. So a lot of those people didn't have good phone numbers, so we're going to have to try and figure out how to reach out to them to get good numbers. Several of those people were out of town. They didn't even know that the water was turned off. So they were happy they were here. We did have ordered the taco, is a taco for right now. Time back that you had approved. It is ready for pickup. Oh, good. So hopefully she can come at the next meeting and show you her command vehicle.
Oh, nice.
I'm trying to schedule a pickup this week.
Lumber, water, tender.
Yeah. Good job. And I will be out starting Friday afternoon after my class through the holiday of the 20th. I will be back to work on the 21st. I will have my iPad with me for emails. I will have my cell phone. So I will be available for calls or concerns, but I will not be in the office. I have a trip now in February and one in March that were planned before I became administrator. So I will just letting you know that I will be gone, but I'll still be available. Do you have anything for me?
The Alphabet stuff, there was water troubles up there the same day as the leak in Cabresto.
So there was a leak at the school. So Mr. Royale had to shut the water off, and they called in a plumber. On our side, the water meter had an issue there that they were.
That one's taken care of.
I believe so.
So the school did, the plumber did fix that leak in that well house in school?
I believe they did. They still have school, so
You know,
they can't
That's
have
what
school
they
without
have.
water.
No, okay.
Ms. Shannon, quick question, did the chief set a date to pick up the police vehicles?
We sent a purchase order to them, and we're waiting for an invoice. They have to generate an invoice on their side off of our purchase order, and then we get the invoice, we get a check, then he can set a date to go and get them. So it's on them now. I told them as soon as you get me an invoice, I can cut a check. I did tell them that if I get a check an invoice by Wednesday, we have it cut for Friday, but if they call anytime, we'll have a check. So you can go over there and get those vehicles. We do have a plan, because there are 3 vehicles, so we have to have people ride down with chief and have 3 people extra with him to come back and drive all those vehicles back. So we have a,
So that has to happen
Kind of a
before
plan in
you leave, leave anywhere, right?
Not
No.
necessarily.
no, Ms. Herrera does accounts payable.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
She's doing accounts payable, she has been for quite a while now. And she'll be, with the purchase order already in place, it's
Okay.
very simple to put in and write a check. So she will be calling for signatures.
Okay.
It happens when I'm not here.
Thank you.
And council, does anyone want to volunteer to drive down and get a police vehicle?
Oh,
I will.
Can we put on the
I'll take a
lights?
day off. I'll take a day off, I can go too.
Okay, so we have
Imagine,
Fred, all of you? Any police vehicles?
I'll drive down the tunnel.
The fire trucks are coming.
I will let them know.
Any questions for Ms. Shannon?
Who do they have to go to get the vehicles?
Okay. The police vehicles from Santa Fe.
I also would like to thank Karen and Nadine they provided food for the workers. Jason was there all day and all night. Appreciate that too, Jason. Mayor was there, and of course I was there. It was in my front yard. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all for who fed the staff.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, staff, for being here. Thank you, Karen, for being here. I don't know
Absolutely.
if you put in a long day on a salary.
It was a long day.
Councilors, I think those of you that took food and drinks and water.
Yes.
And thank you, Ms. Shannon, for taking food as well.
The hot chocolate was great.
Oh, good. That was me.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
Me and Cynthia made it together.
And actually, you know, I got a couple of calls myself to my cell phone. And at one point, we thought we weren't going to restore it for the night.
I
And
know.
I started telling a couple of people that, and they were actually okay with it. I think as long as we keep that
Communicate.
open mind, open mind communication with our residents, I think they're okay with it. Well, we're not transparent and
Right.
we're not truthful with them, then that's when we get a little bit antsy.
When we didn't have a update, Ms. Vila would call me and she said, "Where's the update? We need to put an update." So we're a team.
Yeah.
You know, everybody puts in and reminds each other when we need stuff. Nadine, Mariah, and I were busy on the call, so when we had an update, she called and asked.
And the Questa del Rio news was also pretty good at putting updates too, so maybe in the future we'll share those updates with them as well, so they can update to their followers as well.
I have a tentative appointment with Ms. Michaela Ortega to set up communication lines between us for just such thing like that.
Yes, and congratulate Ms. Ortega. We're very glad to have a local girl on the lead of the paper.
She definitely has a lot more energy than Lou.
Definitely.
You said that. You said that.
I'll cut that out.
Councilors, do you have anything for matters for mayor and council members?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I do. At one time, Chevron used to give us updates on their projects on the project, and, you know, this is what happened in 2022, and this is what's gonna happen in 23, and kind of like give us an overview on, a project overview. So today we have an annual refresher that consisted of some of that. So Chevron gave a presentation on their project overview, Granite gave one on theirs, NTAC gave one on theirs, and I think that would be something very informative for us to hear as well. Because, you know, like they said, there was 9 rock piles, they've worked on 2 of them, and the rock piles are there because of this and that, and it was just very informative, and if you guys would like to be updated on those, and that way you know where the project is going. I don't know if that's part of what we used to do with, what's your name, Miller? And we haven't had an update in a long time, so I don't think it has to be part of the EPA quarterly, but I think maybe sometime soon we can get each entity in on a different council night, unless you want to do it on a day. It's only like a 15-20 minute presentation for each company.
Excellent idea, Councilwoman Ramos. Mr. DeFilippo, do you, maybe we can talk about this with Chevron tomorrow morning, but do you think we can try and get that scheduled? Also, now that you mentioned that Miller, it would be nice to, we haven't heard from Deb's replacement either in a while. It'd be nice to hear from her, because I'm not sure if we've even met her yet, or him yet. I know I don't remember having met.
Yes, Mayor, I think it's a great idea to schedule a meeting with Chevron to discuss those topics. The reason we haven't had a in-depth conversation with Deb's replacement folks is that, again, I'm just having a little bit of difficulty getting the documents to give them, to allow them to be able to provide an update to the council on exactly what's occurring. We have a number of the historical documents, but the more current documents have been kind of a slow trickle coming in. Traditionally, I was able to get those documents from folks over at the state NMEG, but those folks, unfortunately, are no longer with the NMEG and have moved on to other divisions. So I haven't figured out how to get those documents yet. So in short, it's my fault that we haven't been able to have that discussion with those folks. But what I will do in the next week or so is reach out to Chevron to schedule that meeting, because I do think that's important, and also reach out to the state and the EPA to have another quarterly meeting that we were supposed to have. It's been about 6 months since our last quarterly meeting. I was just looking at my calendar. So I think we are overdue for an update from all of the agencies involved. And in addition, I will again make my request to get the documents that are associated with the rock project, the future work that needs to be done, and all those sort of things. But I'll work on that in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Mr. DeFilippo.
Yeah, I think that's all I have right now, Mayor.
Mayor, I always have something to say.
That's good.
I don't know write everything down. I should have wrote everything down that I was supposed to say. The nightmare on the Resco Street. Oh my God. The water boys, I wish we could get more input maybe from the supervisor, John Rayet, and let us know what he needs when he's in an emergency like that. One thing I noticed was a lack of tools. They're trying to use a little tiny carpenter hammer to hammer this piece inside the hole. And Sancho John, he goes and tells one of the guys, go get the hammer from the truck, the sledgehammer. And so they gotta climb out the wall.
Mayor and council, I don't think that the entire line was replaced. I think sections of it were replaced. But we can get a hold of our engineers and answer that for the next
Please do.
council meeting.
Thank you.
I think maybe we can ask them to join the next council meeting and talk about that a little bit. That's what I can figure out that day. Either there's the new line running right there, and it's fine, and then there's the old line, and there's still people connected to the old line. Well, why did we run a new line if we're still going to have people connected to the old line? Just that's a good question.
Part of it in that area is to feed the 30,000 gallon tank, because you couldn't feed it, because that line you're talking about got done like 10 years ago, so part of it was to feed the tank.
So they maybe just never connected to.
So there's probably drawings on that somewhere.
Also, I'm talking with our supervisor that day. He stated that the manholes should be in the middle of the road. Why, I don't know. He has an idea. Maybe we need to find this out for our next two phases in Colorado Road or any other road projects. If it makes sense, if it doesn't make sense, then, well, it's something to be talked about.
And Councilor, that's one of the things that myself and Ms. Shannon have made a point to do from here on out. We're going to include the department heads in discussion for all the planning, and we're going to start having department head meetings. Well, we have department head meetings, but we're going to start having individual meetings with each department. We're going to let the department heads be a major part in deciding what, not necessarily deciding what our ICIP is going to be, but if we're going to put projects in our ICIP, they're going to have a major role in deciding what those projects are going to be. So we can bring that forward to all of you, because in the past, I don't think Mr. Rael was included on some of these discussions, and I think he shows a lot of frustration with that. Like, why did they do it like that? I was never part of it. Why? I think they could have done it better. And maybe they were right to do it the way they did it, but at least he needs to be involved in those conversations with he never was before. Because there's been a lot of stuff that he's brought up, even sometimes the factual war, we're trying to put water on sewer lines. Those aren't our priority areas. There's other areas that are more priority that he's told me that what we're thinking. We're thinking that we know what they are, and he's actually the one that knows where they're at. So we're trying to involve all department heads more, but him especially. Am I accurate in what I said?
Yes, sir.
So that's something that we've talked about. We're going to start scheduling those meetings here in the next couple of months. So when it comes time to budget, they're more involved in that budget process, and they're more involved in the ICIP process. So they have needs. We can bring it to you as a council and decide where we want to put those needs on our list. And there's going to be some stuff that we know we need to put up there as wells or major road major road fixes. But the other thing that they can tell us on that is what they need as far as tools, because I'm sure that there is tools, there is parts that they need. We'll just have to find money to buy those tools. Right now, with the water department and sewer department, without this water rate increase that we're proposing, there's no way that we can afford anything like that. And the cost of inflation, everything, unless we get extra money from somewhere. And even the water rate increase, the sewer rate increase is barely going to cover what we need for inflation. It really should be more than what we're asking for. I can tell you, I was in Trauma 2 weekends ago when I was talking to the fire chief. Trauma in November had the same problem that we had 5 or 6 years ago. They had a major water outage for a month and a half at a time. And for those of you that were here, remember the state engineer telling us you guys need to increase your water rates. They told them the same thing. So their basic trash, water, and sewer combined is about $90 a month right now. they're gonna be increasing them to $200 a month.
Oh my God.
They're more than double. So I think when we're asking for $7 a water rate increase, and we're asking for $7 in the sewer rate increase, and $15-16 is a lot that we're asking of our residents. We're not asking for $110. And you know, just trying that comparable to Questa as far as the residents are being able to afford things. I think it's the same kind of same scenarios.
Is that increase, are you gonna do it over a 5-year period, every year for the next? I honestly believe that isn't enough. The equipment that they have, the workers actually had to jump one of their trucks because they don't have a good battery. Again, the tools, their equipment, it was freezing out there. They didn't have proper gloves, they didn't have proper coveralls, they didn't, so, me personally, how come you can't do an increase over the next couple, 3-4 years until we can establish a good bank account for, like you said, Jason also said, they ran around for hours looking for parts, you know, having inventory. We're actually blessed to have them guys, to be honest, because what they did and what I saw all day and watched them, these guys deserve a little bit more recognition, a little more money, a little better equipment. Like I say, when you have to jump a city vehicle because their battery ain't no good in there, you know, if for some reason or another they get called out in the middle of the night and it's that cold and they get stranded and no cell phone. Another thing I think would be good is for them to have radios for them to communicate. They have no radios to talk to each other. So, just my kind of suggestion. And I won't mind paying the $7.
Thank you, Mr. Ashton. Councilors, to finish off clear, President told me today that he wants to throw my thoughts on Memorial Weekend, Leslie Rio. He wants to have it there at the Wooden Nickel. So, he said it's a tradition that some communities do in New Mexico, and he'd like to bring start it here.
You can incorporate that with the fiestas.
Yeah, exactly. Councilors, Palomino,
Somebody I think should have wrote it down too.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
I do have somebody coming to meet me over the weekend that wants to do a 3-day music festival.
Nice.
UNESCO music. We just need to, right now, so we might have to think of different venues. But this person, he wants to bring the man, I think he said it's a free man. UNESCO artists. We do have people that are looking at, that want to do more events here for Memorial Weekend. We're looking at people that want to do music events. So, and you're little by little Questa's going to start. I think we'll do a music event, so that's pretty cool. But we just need a venue for all this stuff. The other thing is we need to, we're still hiring law enforcement officers. We're hoping to get 2 more at the very least, but it's been still going. So, but hopefully once we get Chief is pretty confident and get those 2 pretty quick. The other thing that he's talked about is he's made arrangements to have help here for Memorial Weekend. his plan is pretty good. He's gonna have, at least 4 extra officers here for Memorial Weekend helping. And yes, not gonna cost us anything.
Wow,
Awesome.
that's great.
So, I think that's all I really had. March 28th, our second meeting in March, we're gonna cancel that meeting. Because myself and council, Neil will not be here. Next Thursday, we have a municipal day, the municipal league. I don't know if any of you is on the goal. It starts on Thursday evening and runs through Friday afternoon. I don't know, is it too late to register, Ms. Shannon?
It's probably not too late to register, but it'd be hard to get a room.
Just get in at 30 and I'll take care of the room.
You're not voting with me, I'll split.
They have more expensive there for that hotel anyway.
We could probably get a room.
I'm sure you can get a room.
It's just, the rates have gone up.
Yeah.
The host hotel was full, like, the first 2 days.
Wow.
And, the overflow hotel is scarce now, so we can find something. We just may not be close.
Okay, that's all I have, so we'll be back here in 3 weeks. On the 28th is our next meeting, so I'm sure that one's gonna be a little bit heavier with procurement and stuff that we're gonna have going on, right? Possible procurement. We did have a productive meeting with House Bakes on, was it Monday? Or was it last? It was last.
It was last Thursday.
So we're looking at that project is gonna get going here pretty quick. Getting that building up to speed. The other thing, we kind of, Chris kind of mentioned was the senior center, but that project should be getting going pretty quick as well. So, from what I've heard from the counties, they think that senior center might be open by the end of the year.
Oh, great.
From Assistant Manager Madrid, their Deputy County Manager. So, let's cross our fingers and hopefully we'll have that facility for the seniors. I'll adjourn at 7:29. Got you all out of here.